Hi, today we're going to look at book 2 in the FLAT STANLEY series, okay? This is Stanley and the Magic Lamp. Okay, there's the magic lamp. Okay, and this is Stanley, and this is his brother Arthur. But who is this? Who is this? In this video, we're going to look at the prologue and chapters 1 and 2, okay? So please get your book, Stanley and the Magic Lamp. Will Stanley be flat again? Prologue. Wow, there's a lot of lamps here. And this person really doesn't have feet. Okay, prologue. Once upon a very long time ago, way before the beginning of today's sort of people, there was a magical kingdom in which everyone lived forever, and anyone of importance was a genie, mostly the friendly kind. The few wicked genies kept out of sight in caves or at the bottoms of rivers. They had no wish to provoke the great genie king, who ruled from a palace with many towers and courtyards and gardens with reflecting pools. So provoke here means like make someone angry, make someone want to fight you. So the bad genies kept away. The genie king was noted for his patience with the high-spirited genie princes of the kingdom, but the genie queen thought he was much too patient with them. She said so one morning in the throne room, where the king was studying reports and proposals for new magic spells. Discipline! That's what they need! She adjusted the magic mirror on the throne room wall. Florts and collybots, granting wishes, which they'll be doing one day, is serious work. Flort yourself. You're too hard on the lad, said the king. And then he frowned. They have these funny words, florts and collybots. It's like, wow, like this kind of word, okay? Or whoa, or this. Okay? However, this report here says that one of them has been behaving very badly indeed. Hurrahs, right, said the queen. He's a real smarty. The genie king sent a thought to summon Prince Hurrahs, which is all such a ruler has to do when he wants somebody. And a moment later, the young genie flew into the throne room, did a triple flip, 2, 3, and hovered in the air before the throne. What's up? He asked, grinning. You are, said the queen. Come down here. No problem, said Hurrahs, landing. It seems you have been playing a great many magical jokes, said the king, tapping the reports before him. Doing bad things. Very annoying jokes, such as causing the army's carpets to fly only in circles, which made all my soldiers dizzy. So he plays tricks on people, okay? Pranks. That was a good one, laughed Hurrahs. And turning the chief wizard's wand into a sausage while he was casting a major spell. Who did that? Ha ha, you should have seen his face. So he was like, magic. And he was like, zing, and then sausage. Yeah, he's kind of bad. Stop laughing, cried the queen. This is shameful. You should be severely punished. He's just a boy, dear, only 200 years old, said the king. But who knows what more he's done? The queen turned to the magic mirror. Mirror, what other dumb jokes has Hurrahs played? The magic mirror squirted apple juice all over her face and the front of her dress. So the magic mirror and apple juice went all over the queen. Oh, the queen whirled around. Florts and collybots! I know who's responsible for that. Prince Hurrahs tried to look sorry, but it was too late. That does it, said the genie king. Lamp duty for you, you rascal. 1,000 years of service to a lamp. He turned to the queen. How's that, my dear? Make it 2,000, said the queen, drying her face. So he's supposed to be in this lamp for 2,000 years. Chapter 1. Again, the lamb chop's always home at the beginning of the books, usually doing something. There's Mr. and Mrs. Lamb Chop, okay? Reading the newspaper and sewing, it looks like. Almost a year had passed since Stanley Lamb Chop had gotten over being flat, which he had become when his big bulletin board had settled down on him during the night. It had been a pleasant, restful time for all the lamb chops, as this particular evening was. Dinner was over. In the living room, Mr. Lamb Chop looked up from his newspaper. "How nice this is, my dear," he said to Mrs. Lamb Chop, who was darning socks. So she's fixing socks, okay? "I'm enjoying my paper and your company, and our boys are studying in their room." "Let us hope they are," said Mrs. Lamb Chop. "So often, George, they find excuses not to work." Mr. Lamb Chop chuckled. "They are imaginative," he said. In their bedroom, Stanley and his younger brother Arthur were doing homework. They wore pajamas, and over his, Arthur also wore his Mighty Man t-shirt, which helped him to concentrate. On the desk between them was what they supposed to be a teapot. A round, rather squashed down pot with a curving spout and a knob on top for lifting. A wave had rolled it up onto the beach that summer, right to Stanley's feet, and since Mrs. Lamb Chop was very fond of old furniture and silverware, he had saved it as a gift for her birthday, now only a week away. So next week is Mrs. Lamb Chop's birthday, and Stanley's going to give the pot to his mum. The pot was painted dark green, but streaks of brownish metal showed through. To see if polishing would make it shine, Stanley rubbed the knob with his pajama sleeve. Puff! Black smoke came from the spout. Where am I? "Yipe!" said Arthur. "It's going to explode!" "Teapots don't explode." Stanley rubbed again. "I just puff, puff, puff." They came rapidly now, joining to form a small cloud in the air above the desk. "Look out!" Arthur shouted. "Double yipes!" The black cloud swirled, its blackness becoming a mixture of brown and blue, and began to lose its cloud shape. Arms appeared, and legs, and a head. "Ready or not, here I come," said a clear young voice. Now the cloud was completely gone, and a slender, cheerful-looking boy hovered in the air above the desk. He wore a sort of decorated towel on his head, a loose blue shirt, and curious flapping brown trousers, one leg of which had snagged on the pot spout. So it stuck to the spout. "Flort!" said the boy, shaking his leg. Oh, there we go. That's a better picture. Stuck. "Collybots! I got the puffs right and the scary cloud, but there!" Unsnagged, he floated down to the floor and bowed to Stanley and Arthur. "Who rubbed?" he asked. Neither of the brothers could speak. "Well, someone did. Genies don't just drop in, you know." The boy bowed again. "How do you do? I am Prince Fawzi Mustafa Aslan Mirza Malik Namir Haraz. Call me Prince Haraz." Arthur gasped and dived under his bed. "What's the matter with him?" the genie asked. "And who are you, and where am I?" "I'm Stanley Lamb Chop, and this is the United States of America," Stanley said. "That's Arthur under the bed." "Not a friendly welcome," said Prince Haraz, "especially for someone who's been cooped up in a lamp." He rubbed the back of his neck. "Florts! 1,000 years with my knees right up against my chin. This is my first time out." Oh, so 1,000 years. He didn't finish the 2,000 the Queen wanted. "I must have gone crazy," said Arthur from under the bed. "I am just going to lie here until a doctor comes." "Actually, Prince Haraz, you're here by accident," Stanley said. "I didn't even know that pot was a lamp. Was it the rubbing? Those puffs of smoke? I mean, that turned into you?" "Were you scared?" The genie laughed. Just a few puffs, I thought, and I'll whoosh up the spout. Just a few puffs, I thought. Scaring me wasn't fair, said Arthur, staying under the bed. I just live in this room because Stanley's my brother. It's his lamp, and he's the one who rubbed it. Then he's the one I grant wishes for, said Prince Raz. Too bad for you. I don't care, said Arthur. But he did. He wants the wishes. Can I wish for anything? Stanley asked. Anything at all? Not if it's cruel or evil or really nasty, said Prince Raz. I'm a lamp genie, you see, and we're the good kind. Not like those big jar genies. They're stinkers. Wish for something, Stanley. Arthur sounded suspicious. Test him out. I'll be right back, Stanley said, and went into the living room. What can I wish for? Hey, he said to Mr. and Mrs. Lambchop. Guess what? Hay is for horses, Stanley, not people, Mr. Lambchop said from behind his newspaper. Try to remember that. His dad always says that. Excuse me, Stanley said, but you'll never guess. My guess is that you and Arthur have not yet finished your homework, said Mrs. Lambchop, looking up from her mending. We were doing it, said Stanley, talking very fast, but I had this pot that turned out to be a lamp, and when I rubbed it, smoke came out, and then a genie. And he says I can wish for things, only I thought I should ask you first. Arthur got scared, so he's hiding under the bed. Mr. Lambchop chuckled. When your studying is done, my boy, he said, but no treasure chest full of gold and diamonds, please. Think of the taxes we would pay. There's your answer, Stanley, said Mrs. Lambchop. Now, back to work, please. Okay then, said Stanley, going out. Mrs. Lambchop laughed. Treasure chests, indeed. Taxes. George, you are very amusing. Behind his newspaper, Mr. Lambchop smiled. Thank you, my dear, he said. So, Mr. and Mrs. Lambchop think that Arthur and Stanley are pretending. Okay? So there's Prince Raz. And Arthur's still underneath the bed. Chapter 2. The Asket Basket. I told them, but they didn't believe me, Stanley said, back in the bedroom. Of course they didn't. Arthur was still under the bed. Who'd believe a whole person could puff out of a pot? It's not a pot, said Prince Raz. Now please come out. I apologize for the puffs. Arthur crawled from under the bed. No more scary stuff? I promise, the genie said, and they shook hands. Arthur could hardly wait now. Stanley, try a wish! We can't, Stanley said. Not till our homework is done. What's homework? Asked Prince Raz. The brothers stared at him, amazed, and then Stanley explained. The genie shook his head. After school time, when you could be having fun, he said, where I come from, we just let Asket Baskets do the work. Well, whatever they are, I wish I had one, said Stanley. Wish. Forgetting he was not supposed to wish, Prince Raz laughed. Ha ha! Oh, look behind you! Turning, Stanley and Arthur saw a large straw basket, about the size of a beach ball, and decorated with the red and green zigzag stripes, floating in the air above the desk. Yipes, said Arthur. More scary stuff. Don't be silly, said the genie. It's a perfectly ordinary Asket Basket. Whatever you want to know, Stanley, just ask it. Feeling rather foolish, Stanley leaned forward and spoke to the basket. Can I have the answers for my math homework? It's the problems on page 20 of my book. The basket made a steady hum sound, and then a man's voice rose from it, deep and rich like a TV announcer's. There's the Asket Basket. Thank you for calling Asket Basket, it said. We're sorry, but all our answer genies are busy at this time. Your questions will be answered by the first available personnel. While you wait, enjoy a selection by the geniettes. So the Ask-A-Basket needs some time, and they're going to play some music. Okay? The Ask-A-Basket is going to play music. Stanley stared at the Ask-A-Basket. Music was coming out of it now, the sort of soft, faraway music he had heard in the elevators of big office buildings. Prince Haraz shrugged. What can you do? It's a very popular service. There was a click, and the music stopped. Now a female voice, full of bouncy good cheer, came from the basket. Hi, this is Shireen. Thanks a whole bunch for waiting, and I would like at this time to give you your answers. The first answer is 5 pears, 6 apples, 8 bananas. The second answer is Tom is 4 years old, Tim is 7, Ted is 11. The third... Wait, Stanley shouted. I can't remember all this. A written record created especially for your convenience is in the basket, sir, said the cheery voice. Thanks for calling Ask-A-Basket, and have a real nice day. Lifting the lid of the basket, Stanley saw a sheet of paper with all his answers on it. Oh, good, he said. Thank you. Can my brother talk now, please? So he has all his homework done. It's great. Arthur cleared his throat. Hello, Shireen, he said. This is Arthur Lambchop speaking. For English, I'm supposed to write about what I want to be. His job in the future. Certainly, Mr. Lambchop, said the basket. Just a teeny moment now to make sure the handwriting. There, all done. Arthur opened the basket and found a sheet of lined paper covered with his own handwriting. It's the same way Arthur writes it. He read it aloud. What I Want to Be by Arthur Lambchop. When I grow up, I want to be President of the United States so that I can make a law not to have any more wars and get to meet astronauts. And I would like not to have to go out with girls who want to get all dressed up. Most of all, I would like to be the strongest man in the world, like Mighty Man. Not to hurt people, but so everybody would be extra nice to me. The end. So, he wants to be president. He wants to be strong. He doesn't want girls. And he wants to meet astronauts. Okay? Some of this will happen in this book. Some of it will happen in book 3. Okay? Okay, there's Arthur getting his homework. What I want to be. Arthur smiled. That's fine, he said. Just what I wanted to say, Shireen. Good, said the basket. Bye now. Have a super day. The brothers called goodbye, and Prince Haraz plucked the basket out of the air and set it on the desk by his lamp. There, homework's done, he said. That was a very ordinary sort of wish, Stanley. Isn't there anything special you've always wanted? Something exciting? Stanley knew right away what he wanted most. He had always loved animals. How exciting it would be to have his own zoo. But that would take up too much space, he thought. Just one animal then. A truly unusual pet. A lion? Yes! What fun it would be to walk down the street with a pet lion on a leash. I wish for a lion, he said. Real but friendly. Real but friendly, said the genie. No problem. Stanley realized suddenly that a lion would scare people and that an elephant would be even greater fun. An elephant, I mean, he shouted. Not a lion, an elephant. What? Said Prince Haraz. An Ella? Oh, colliebots. Look what you made me do. A most unusual head had formed in the air across the room. A head with an elephant's trunk for a nose, but with small, neat, lion-like ears. There was a lion's mane behind the head, but then came an elephant's body and legs in a brownish gold lion color, and finally a little gray elephant tail with a pretty gold ruff at the tip. Altogether, these parts made an animal about the size of a medium lion or small elephant. My goodness, said Stanley, what's that? A liaphant. Prince Haraz seemed annoyed. It's your fault, not mine. You overlapped your wish. The liaphant opened his mouth wide, gave a half roar, half snort. Gronk! That made them all jump. Then sat back on his hind legs and went pant, pant, like a puppy, looking quite nice. Well, we got the friendly part right, said the genie. The young ones mostly are. There we go. That's a liaphant. Half lion, half elephant. Stanley patted him, and Arthur tickled behind the neat little ears. The Lion licked their hands, and Stanley was not at all sorry that he had mixed up his wish. Yeah, that's cool. Just then a knock sounded on the bedroom door, and Mrs. Lambchop's voice called out, "Homework done?" "Come in," said Stanley, not thinking, and the door opened. "How very quiet you—" Mrs. Lambchop began, and then she stopped. Her eyes moved slowly around the room, from Prince Haraz to the Asket Basket and on to the Liaphant. "Gracious!" she said. Prince Haraz made a little bow. "How do you do? You are the mother of these fine lads, yes?" "I am, thank you," said Mrs. Lambchop. "Have we met?" "I don't seem to." "This is Prince Haraz," Stanley said, "and that's a Liaphant, and that's an Asket Basket." "Guess what?" said Arthur. "Prince Haraz is a genie, and Stanley can wish for anything he wants." "How very generous," Mrs. Lambchop said, "but I'm not sure." Turning, she called into the living room, "George, come here! Something quite unexpected has happened." "In a moment," Mr. Lambchop called back. "I am reading an unusual story in my newspaper about a duck who watches TV." "This is even more unusual than that," she said, and Mr. Lambchop came at once. "Ah, yes," he said, looking around the room. "Yes, I see. Would someone care to explain?" "I tried to before," Stanley said. "Remember about—" "Wait, dear," said Mrs. Lambchop. The Liaphant had been making snuffling hungry sounds, so she went off to the kitchen and returned with a large bowl full of hamburger mixed with warm milk. While the Liaphant ate, Stanley told Mrs. Lambchop what had happened. Mr. Lambchop thought for a moment. "Oh, unusual indeed," he said, "and what a fine opportunity for you, Stanley. But I do not approve of using the Asket Basket for your homework, boys, nor will your teachers, I'm afraid." So Mr. Lambchop likes it, but he doesn't like the Asket Basket because the kids didn't do their homework. "My plan is, let's not tell them," Arthur said. Mr. Lambchop gave him a long look. "Would you take credit for work you have not done?" Arthur blushed. Well, I guess not. I wasn't thinking, because of all the excitement, you know." Mr. Lambchop wrote, "Not in use," on a piece of cardboard and taped it to the Asket Basket. "It's too late for more wishing tonight," Mrs. Lambchop said. "Prince Haraz, there's a folding cot in the closet, so you will be comfortable here." Okay, so a cot is like a bed that you can roll out. So Prince Haraz is going to sleep with the boys. "Tomorrow is Saturday, which we always spend together in the park. You will join us, yes?" "Thank you very much," said the genie, and he helped Stanley and Arthur set up the cot. The Liaphant was already asleep, and Mrs. Lambchop picked up his bowl. Gracious! 3 pounds of the best hamburger, and he ate every bit. She put out the light. "Good night to you all." The Liaphant eats a lot. It was quite dark in the bedroom, but some moonlight shone through the window. From their bed, Stanley and Arthur could see that Prince Haraz was still sitting up in his cot. For a moment all was silence, except for the gentle snoring of the Liaphant, and then the genie said, "Sorry about the snoring. It's having all that nose, probably." So the Liaphant snores because of its long elephant trunk. "It's okay," Arthur said sleepily. "Do genies snore?" "We don't even sleep," said Prince Haraz. "Your mother was so kind, I didn't want to tell her. She might have felt bad." So he doesn't need the cot. Okay? "I'll try to stay awake if you want to talk," Stanley said. "No thanks," said the genie. "I'll be fine. After all those years alone in the lamp, it's nice just having company." Okay. So the first 3 wishes, the Asket Basket, the Liaphant, yeah, are done. Okay. And we're gonna find out some more, and there's gonna be bad guys in this. Okay. Okay. Take care. Goodbye.